Hello, everyone. I am Lisa Twilley. I'm the director of the Women's Business Center here at Maryland Capital Enterprises. We are a nonprofit based here in Salisbury and have an office in Baltimore City as well. We assist entrepreneurs that are getting started in business or if they're already in business and trying to expand. We do free business consulting, marketing consulting, free training workshops such as this, and we also do small business loans. So we can assist you with a business plan. We can assist you with cash flow projections, lots of different things. If you need our services, please reach out. I'm going to put my information in the chat. That way you'll have that. And if you'd like to be added to our newsletter list, just put that in the chat as well, and I'll know to add you. That way you're informed about events. It's a bi-monthly newsletter, but you also get notices when we're having different workshops and things like that. So today we have Rosalind Davis from Rhoda Business Solutions, and she's going to teach us about Sam.Gov. So thank you, Rosalind, so much for doing this. We appreciate you and all your knowledge.
Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate you. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on the System for Award Management, more commonly referred to as Sam.Gov. I'm here today to help simplify your registration process to get registered in SAM. So as Lisa stated, I'm Rosalind Davis. I'm the president of CEO of Rhoda Business Solutions. We are a consulting firm specializing in program and project lifecycle management, business administration, organizational development training, business process improvement, and workforce management. We are a certified woman, veteran, and minority-owned small business located here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. So I want to thank the Maryland Capital Enterprise, the Women's Business Center, Lisa Twilley, for always providing this training platform. This is provided on a quarterly basis. I also want to thank Ms. Portia May of Full Armor Technology for allowing me to use some of her SAM screenshots so that I can develop today's presentation. Full Armor Technology is a global service provider of standing up and or upgrading network infrastructures, cabling installations, automation, smart home and cloud, and software as a service for federal and commercial clients. Full Armor Technology is a woman, veteran, and minority-owned small business located in the Washington, D.C. metro area as well. And then finally, my disclaimer. The screenshots used in this presentation are actual screen captures from Sam.Gov, but the views and opinions expressed during this webinar are my views and are in no way are the views and opinions of the government or any other entity. So if you haven't done so already, I would highly recommend that in the top right corner of your Zoom screen, you want to switch to the standard view. This is going to enhance your visibility of some of the SAM screenshots. So here's the agenda. SAM is the federal government's online database of vendors wishing to do business with the federal government. It is the government's procurement entry point. I am now going to go off camera because there are over 40 people that have registered. So as people pop in, I don't want to get distracted, nor do I want to have any bandwidth issues. So I'm going to go off camera so you can pay more attention to what's on the slide. So we're going to start off first with some required information and documents that you need for Sam.Gov registration. So before registering in Sam.Gov, you need to gather some following information and documents that are listed here on this slide. In this chat, I am going to post some useful links that you can definitely connect to during this presentation so that you can have them and bookmark them as you feel necessary to do so. Now, I will not be monitoring the chat, but if you have any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to stop and just ask that question, or you can wait to the end. Either way, There is no right or wrong way. If you have a question, please ask your question. So the first one is your employer identification number. This is your EIN that you get for irs.gov for your business. I have posted the link to irs.gov in the chat. You must complete this online application in one session, as you will not be able to save and return later. So you need to make sure that you do have your business name and your address. Now, the address cannot be a virtual or a post office box. It has to be a physical address. And for security purposes, your session will expire after 15 minutes if there's no activity. And then you will need to start your application over. So keep in mind, completed in one session, no virtual or post office boxes. Now, your taxpayer identification number, which is your TIN, you get that from the IRS, or your TIN, and sometimes can be your social security number. So just be mindful of the type of business structure you set up and whether or not you've used your EIN on some applications or you use your social security number. The next thing you want to have readily available is your state business registration documents. So this is going to have your company's legal business name. It's going to also have a physical address and a mailing address. Now, your physical and mailing address, they can be the same or they can be different. Now, here's just a tidbit of information I would recommend. You might want to Google the business name that you're deciding to go with. Do a domain search on the internet. Search your business name in your state's website to ensure that the name that you choose for your business is not already taken. I have posted opencorporates.com in the chat. Feel free to use that if you have not already established a business name to find out if that name is available or how popular it may or may not be. And the same with IRS, EIN, again, don't use your virtual post office box for the physical address. And then you want to make sure that you save your state documents on your computer for quick access, because when you need them, you don't want to have to go locating them all over your computer. And your business bank routing and account numbers. You will need that information as well when you're registering in SAM. Now, your offerings are your goods and their services, which are your North American Industry Classification System codes and your product service codes that you plan to sell to the federal government. I have posted links to NAICS codes and product service codes in the chat. And then finally, your point of contact information. At a minimum, you will need the full name, email address, and phone number. In March of last year, SAM has instituted a process where only employees, officers, and board members can be entity administrators in Sam.Gov. Prior to that, any third-party company could register your business in SAM and could be registered as administrator. But March of last year, they changed that to only employees, officers, and board members. So if in the past you've used a third party to register your entity and you go to do your renewal, you will need to remove that third party as an administrator. Okay, moving on to logging on. I've posted the link to Sam.Gov in the chat. You want to make sure on this screen when you see it that you accept the terms to advance to the login screen. Your screen may look a little different based on the browser that you're using. Now, if this is your first time using login.gov, you will need to create an account. So here you would enter your email address, then follow the prompts to complete a login.gov account. Now, if you're already using login.gov on another website, perhaps USA Jobs or somewhere else, or VA benefits.gov, you can enter your email address and password that you use for that other site for your login. Now, just keep in mind that login.gov is a two-step verification process. So make sure you have access to the method that you have set up for your two-step verification, whether that's email, it's a text, or a phone call that you've set up for verification, because it will time out after about 10 minutes. And then once you get that one-time code, you want to enter it on the screen here and click submit. Moving on to entity registration. So now you're ready to begin the business entity registration process. On the screen here, you would click the Get Started button. Now, as of May 26, 2023, you'll see this screen as a new registrant, or if you renew or update your SAM registration after that date. So this is a new screen that you may see, but if you are a new registration, this screen will already be visible for you. Now, what is your goal? Your goal is you want to do business directly with the federal government. Now, there are other options, but you want to select that you want to be a prime, because subcontractors don't submit offers or bids to the government. Only prime does. So you want to do business directly with the federal government as a prime. Any questions so far? All right. So who required your entity to be in SAM? So my recommendation is choose I decided on my own. So as the company officer, you're making the choice to conduct business with the federal government. If you select perhaps that a government or a company or a business required you to register your entity in SAM, then you'll have to provide additional information. But if you say you decided on your own, that completes that process and you can move on with completing your registration. On this screen here, it says, what do you want to do? So if your sole purpose is to apply for grants and loans, then register for financial assistance awards only. But if your intent is to be a subcontractor or a sub-awardee, then only apply for a unique entity ID. There's no business entity registration required. Just getting a UI, it just validates that your legal business name and address is valid with your state and with the IRS. But again, as a subcontractor, you do not bid and submit proposals to the federal government. So this particular presentation is going to focus on how to register a US-based business in SAM for all awards. That way you're available for grants, loans, and to submit offers and solicitations to the federal government. You have a question, Lisa?
No, this is Iva.
Yes, I.
Can you go back to the previous slide? If I didn't select, I decided on my own, but I put federal government, but didn't provide where it says optional federal hierarchy. I didn't provide anything there. Should I go back and change that or not?
I recommend that you go back and change that you decided on your own. And then that way you don't have to enter any additional information when they ask who particular.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So again, on this slide, you want to register in SAM for all awards, because you want to make sure that you are visible not only to federal agencies, but other government contractors that are looking for suppliers. And you'll be able to directly bid on federal contracts as a prime or seek federal assistance as a prime awardee. Now, I just want to make sure everyone's clear, because sometimes people confuse SAM with other government registration portals. SAM is for federal awards. If you're interested in doing business at the state or local level only, then register with that state government's platform. But you can be registered for federal with SAM, but also your state and local as well. On the screen, it says, are you registering a government entity? But if you are a business, on the screen, you want to click no. You are not registering a government entity. You would click my entity is physically located in the US, and then click next to proceed with your registration. Now, because you're a new business entity, you do not have a CAGE code at this time. A CAGE code is different from a UEI, the Unique Entity Identifier. The UEI is issued through SAM, but the CAGE code is assigned by the Defense Logistics Agency, or DLA. This is assigned after your registration is complete in SAM, and it typically takes about 2 weeks. So you want to make sure that you plan accordingly. So on this screen, you would click no, and then next to proceed to the next screen in SAM. Next, you'll see that this screen is verifying that you are registering a business for all awards. It's sort of like a double verification that this is what you want to do. Don't be alarmed. Just click purpose of your business or organization is your business entity type, and your purpose of registration is for all awards, and then click next. Now, preparing your data. This screen alerts you to additional sections that must be completed to register your business entity. This is just make certain that you have the required information and documents that I spoke about earlier readily available before you go to the next step. Now, it's not going to time out in SAM, but I do always recommend that you save often, because you don't want to get to a section and then something happens or a glitch in the system and you lose your information. So I always recommend that you save often, because you can come back and continue to update. So what this screen provides is sort of a visual representation of the different sections within the SAM registration that you're about to proceed to. Now, this step is very critical, so I'm going to take my time here and make sure that everyone understands what's happening on this particular screen. So these 4 elements right here that are highlighted, that has the red arrow, they must match your business name and the address that you used in your state and your IRS EIN registration. For example, if you use Positive Technology Solutions for your state and EIN, you cannot just enter Positive Tech Solutions in SAM. You have to enter Positive Technology Solutions if that's what you used on your state and an EIN. If you try to shorten the name Tech, you're going to submit your entity for validation and it's not going to match. You will have to resubmit the corrected information and or documents, or go back and change what you submitted to the state or the IRS. So it's very critical that what you submitted as your business name at the state and for IRS matches what you enter here in SAM, because it will delay your registration if they do not match. On the screen, you are getting ready to validate your business entity. So as indicated earlier on, you cannot use a post office box or a virtual address. It has to be a physical location. This is also where you acknowledge that you can provide official documentation to validate your business entity. On the next 2 screens, you're going to see in SAM, the one on the left, you will enter the year, and then you'll use the drop down to select the state where you registered your business. On the next slide that you see, or the next screen here on the right, it's going to ask you to confirm your entity information. So if all that is correct, you would click next. So on this screen, you want to click view the list of acceptable documents that I've circled here in red. So some examples are your articles of incorporation that you submitted with your state, your articles of formation, your certificate of formation, your state receipts, uh, your IRS EIN documentation. These are all examples of acceptable documents that you can use to upload in SAM. Now, it says here that you must attach one or more, but I will tell you, you have to at least upload 3 documents. You'll upload them one at a time, but you need to upload at least 3 of them. And what it's looking for is 3 different documents to have either your business name, your address, some state registration information. So that's why you really have to upload at least 3. If you only upload 1 document, the next button will be grayed out and you will not be able to continue validating your entity. So it's important you upload at least 3. Now, if you successfully uploaded your documentation, congratulations. You have just submitted your business entity for validation. Now, at this point, you can check your registration status by going to your workspace. So at the top of your SAM screen, you'll see workspace, and I've circled here on this slide. It's in the top right corner. So this particular business entity is in the draft registration stage, circled here in yellow. The entity validation, it can typically takes about 3 to 5 business days for SAM to check out your registration and make sure that all your documentation is matched and it is a valid business. So if everything checks out, your UEI will be visible the next time you log into Sam.Gov. Assuming that everything checks out, when you log into Sam.Gov and you go to your workspace, you want to select Work in Progress, as circled here on the screen. So off to the right here, you would click the 3 dots and then select Update from the Entities Action menu, because that's what you're doing. You're continuing to update your record because what you did prior to was just validation. And then Sam validated it. That was a true entity. Now you will need to revalidate your entity again. This is sort of a checkers of Sam, but it's a necessary step, except for this time, when you see the screen, your entity should be listed, and you click the button that says, I recognize my entity. And then when you click next, your UEI should be pre-populated on the next screen. From this point, you still need to complete your registration for all awards. Lisa, are there any questions?
I do not see any in the chat.
All right, moving on to core data. So core data, this slide outlines the necessary steps that you need to complete your registration. Unfortunately, these steps must be completed sequentially. The system will not allow you to skip around to different sections. So you will get a green check mark when indicating that you have completed the applicable section. So if you recall earlier, there was the core data, there was the assertions, reps inserts, points of contact, small business, submit your registration. These are all different sections that you have to complete in order. So at a minimum, I always recommend that you read the page description here in the blue box before you enter your information. On all the screens within your registration mandatory fields, they are marked with an asterisk. Now, when it says your entity start date, you enter that date, and then the fiscal year end close date. Most businesses select December 31st as their fiscal year end closeout date. This is different from the federal government's fiscal dates, but businesses, they normally select December 31st. And then a marketing partner ID number, or MPIN. It is a 9-digit alphanumeric password. This password is something that you will create, and it's for use on authorized partners' websites such as grants.gov. So if you ever go to grants.gov and want to enter information, this is the MPIN number that you will use there as well. So the physical and mailing addresses will be pre-populated. Under the tax identification number or TIN subsection, use the drop-down menu to select the TIN type. So if you recall, a TIN type, it could be either your tax ID number or it could be your social security number. So just kind of keep in mind that you can either use your social or you can use your EIN. So read the red box that I have here circled on this screen, and then you want to enter the information and select update, and then save and continue. Now, if you recall on the previous slide, I use my social security number as my TIN. So for this slide, it's asking for the most recent tax year as an individual. For example, I started my business in 2022, so my recent tax year as an individual was 2021, but now it's 2024, so I'm entering 21, I'm entering 22 and 23, and then you want to click Save and Continue. Now for TIN, or your tax ID number matching, you're going to get a one-time password emailed to your login.gov email account. Remember, that is where it's going to be a two-step verification, and it's going to send you a password. And you want to make sure that you have access to that password that they send to you and enter it in order to proceed to the next screen in SAM. So you would click the button that says send the password. It will email it to you, and then come back here and enter that password. Now, to allow time for questions at the end of the presentation, I'm not going to cover all the subsections under core data as you see listed here. Continue to update, you see business information, IRS consent, ownership, financial, and so on and so forth. So in this general information subsection, the focus of this slide is to point out the security level of a business entity versus that of its employees. So this red box that is circled here. So the entity security level is the facility clearance for the business, whereas the highest employee security level refers to the employees. So it's very important that you understand the two different security information that they're asking for on this slide. Now, this slide is a continuation of the previous general information subsection in SAM. So if you recall that note that was inside that red box about 4 slides ago that stated, if you select your social security number as your TIN type on this page, then you must select either a sole proprietorship or an LLC on the general information page later during this registration. That was what was on the previous slide. So you're going to select your organizational factor or factors as applicable to your business entity. So as you can see, I selected both an LLC and a sole proprietorship. The last part of the general information subsection is on the far right of this screen. It says select the applicable socioeconomic categories. So you would select which ones apply to your company and yourself. But I must caution you that the government will verify that you are a veteran and a woman-owned. Your certifications are verified with the Small Business Administration before awarding your business a set-aside contract. So you can check all the boxes that apply. For instance, if I was to select the women-owned small business, but not verified by SBA, then I could not be awarded a women-owned set-aside contract. So this slide is just asking you to review all the core data entries before proceeding to the assertions section. I will pause there and see if there's any questions before we move to the assertions section. All right. Within the assertions section is where you will select your products and/or your services that you wish to sell to the federal government. These products and services offerings are commonly referred to as your NAICS and your PSC codes. I have posted the link to NAICS and PSCs in the chat. So you're going to go through, and if you don't already know which NAICS and PSC codes apply to your business, you will find those in those two links, and then enter that information in Sam.Gov. So for instance, you would do a search for the NAICS code, and it will pull up the NAICS code, and then you would just check the toggle box to add it. And you could add multiple NAICS codes, and you can also add multiple PSC codes. I recommend that you add both, because sometimes the government will use a product service code when they're doing a search. And so you want to make sure that you have both bases covered. So in this subsection, you want to enter the annual receipts. For instance, if you don't have any receipts to report, you would enter $1. If you're currently the only employee in your company, you want to enter 1. The key is you cannot leave it blank. You cannot put a 0. You must at least enter 1, and then click Save and Continue. Now, in this page description, it says most registrants do not provide an EDI, which is electronic data interchange information. Again, my recommendation is to just keep it simple, select No, Save, and Continue. That's less information for the government to validate, review, and validate. This subsection of the assertion portion inquire whether you wish for your entity to be included in the disaster response registry. So use the drop-down menu to select yes or no. And then the next question refers to bonding. So bonding is mainly for construction companies. So you would select the appropriate response from the drop-down menu. Now, if you selected yes for the disaster response registry question above, then you want to also select the areas where you want to offer your products and services. So it could be any state, it could be one state, or it could be multiple states. So make that selection if you want to be included in the disaster response registry. Now on this SAM screen, you will review your assertion information for accuracy, and then proceed to representation and certifications, more commonly referred to as reps and certs. So as you can see, the pattern is after you've completed each section, it's going to ask you to verify that that information is correct, and it'll allow you to make an edit at that time. So moving on to representations and certs, or reps and certs. So reps and certs are written guarantees that are made by your entity to comply with various requirements and are required for the conduct of business with the federal government. So to ensure I leave time for questions, I'm only going to cover FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation Response 1. So this subsection refers to the person or persons within your entity that's responsible for determining prices offered in bids and proposals. So you want to click on the FAR link. If you require more information, click on the FAR link for clarification prior to entering the name and title of the individual. Now, if you selected an architectural or engineering NAICS code, such as 541330 engineering services, then complete this page. You can use the drop-down menu to select that the vendor, the way it's selected here on the screen, will provide information with specific offers to the government as the default response. If you did not select an A in the NAICS code, the screen is going to show, hey, our records indicate that you have not selected one. It's just want to double check if you're sure or not. So respond.
Roslyn,
Yes.
there are a couple questions. I missed this.
Okay.
Question, it says, we recently moved to a new address within the same city, but our address doesn't match with our official docs. Do we need the address to match?
If you're already currently registered during your annual registration or at any time, you can update your address.
Okay, because it says, or should we use the original address?
You can update your address at any time. But if you get business mail at your new address, I recommend that you update your address, because that address also is important for business certifications. For instance, with SBA, they're going to go by your address that's in SAM. And if that's different from when you submit your application, that's going to be a mismatch.
Okay, and then Beverly says, sorry, I am registered. The comment on completing a registration for each award, question mark. And then once you are approved, all is good, right?
So that was back at the beginning. So if you only want to apply for grants, then you can just select that you want to just apply for grants and loans, and you don't have to complete for all awards. But when you do all awards, you can do grants, loans, but also submit for federal government contracts. So my recommendation is select all awards so that you don't minimize what you can apply for.
Okay, that was my fault. Sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. So on this screen, again, you want to select that the vendor will provide the information, specific offers to the government at the time when it's needed. So the next two screens that you're going to see in SAM are your defense response, which is your FAR, DFARS, reps, and certs. The first screen, defense response, asks if you wish to bid on or currently hold DoD contracts. You want to click yes or no as applicable. If you click no, the rest of the screen will be not applicable. So in the FAR, DFARS subsection, there will be a list and a link to the provisions that you are required to read. So unlike just FAR regulations, where it's optional and they provide the link, but for DFARS, you have to read each of the sections. So here, these blue hyperlinks, you have to read each one of these, and then you also have to check the box that you have read all of the FAR and DFAR provisions that are listed on the screen before you can proceed. So on this screen, you want to check the appropriate box if you wish to apply for federal financial assistance, such as grants. Click Save and Continue to proceed to the point of contact section. So answer as applicable and then save and continue. Points of contacts. So at a minimum, you will need to enter the full name, your email address, and a phone number of the accounts receivable point of contact. If the same individual is also the sole proprietorship, the electronic, the government business, etc. point of contact, then this screen will allow you to select the copy from in the drop-down menu, and it will duplicate that point of contact information, saving you time in this process for registration. Now, as I stated earlier, only employees, officers, and board members can be entity administrators in your Sam.Gov profile. If you have used a third party in the past, you will need to make that update the next time you do your annual certification. Small business certification. So if you are a small business, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you visit SBA supplemental pages, commonly referred to as DSBS, the Dynamic Small Business Search, to view and update your SBA, your Small Business Administration profile. So you can stop right here and go do that update, or you can complete your SAM registration, but just remember to go to the supplemental pages and make those updates. So this step, like I said, it can be completed after, but the important thing is to make sure that you do this step. The link has been posted in the chat. And one thing I want to point out on this slide is this link often does not work in SAM. You will need to use the link that's posted in chat to go to DSBS. They probably recently updated to where it just tells you to go directly to it because the link doesn't work. So I would just make sure that you bookmark the SBA.gov link so that you can update your profile. Submitting your registration. So on this final page, it's going to ask you to review all the information that you provided for accuracy. So if everything looks good, you want to click Submit Registration to complete the process. Now, after you submit your registration, it can take anywhere from 10 to 15 business days for your business entity registration to be verified and activated. All you were doing prior to was just verifying your information, and Sam was going in and validating. But now this is where you would complete and get the activation. Again, you'll be active in SAM, but the cage code is assigned by the Defense Logistics Agency, and that is typically done about 2 weeks after you have an active registration in SAM. And you want to keep an eye out for in your email or your spam to make sure, because you will receive a confirmation email once everything is completed and checked out. Now, some key takeaways from this presentation. So, ensure that you have the required information and documents readily available before you begin the registration process. Not that it's going to time out, but it will save you time in getting through the registration. You want to make sure that your business information entered in SAM matches your IRS EIN, but also your state registration information. You want to make sure that that business name, you didn't say Full Armor Technology on one documentation and then Full Armor Tech on another, because they will have to match word from word. Now you want to complete your entity's SBA profile on those SBA supplemental pages. The link was posted in the chat. So for visibility during market research. So not only does the federal government use the DSBS profile to find small businesses, but so does other industry partners. So you want to make sure that your information is in there, remains active and up to date. You want to allow anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks for complete business entity registration. And what I mean complete business entity registration, that is you're active in SAM, so you have your UEI, but you also need a cage code, which comes from DLA. Now you want to keep your product and service offerings. Those are your NAICS and your PSC codes, your points of contacts and other relevant details up to date at all times, so that your registration remains active, so that you're always ready to do business with the federal government. You do not have to wait for annual recertification to make updates to your SAM profile. Now, if you submit an offer to the government, they're going to check to make sure that your SAM profile is active. So you want to make sure that it's current at the time of submission, because sometimes the solicitation will ask if your registration is active when you submit the offer. And that could be one way to disqualify you if you said, yes, it was active, and then in fact, it was not. They have a way to check to make sure that when you submitted the offer, if it was active or not. So congratulations, you have successfully registered your business in Sam.Gov and your entity is now active. So by doing so, you have made your business visible to federal agencies and other prime contractors looking for suppliers to do business with. Thank you for your attention today. With that, the floor is open for any questions. Lisa.
I don't see any questions in the chat, but please feel free to unmute yourself. Thank you so much, Roslyn.
You're very welcome.
Now's the time to ask your questions from the expert.
All right, seeing and hearing no questions, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn so you can find out about upcoming trainings that are offered by the Maryland Capital Enterprise, but also you can follow them on the web as well because they post their trainings, upcoming trainings there too.
Yes, and we always have, we don't have as much going on in the summer as we do in the fall, but there are some classes coming up. So look at marylandcapital.org. And we will be sending out this recording and these slides in case there's something you want to go back and look at. You'll be able to do that. So if you need anything at all, please reach out. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you again, Roslyn. Have a great day.
Hey, Lisa, there's one question in the chat that I see from Cindy. She says, I'm new to this SBA program and I need help for my business. So Cindy, where are you located?
Oh yeah, I see it now.
Cindy, are you still, Cindy, you're still in this meeting. If you want to unmute yourself and provide a little bit more information.
Yeah, hi everyone. How are you?
Good.
Great.
Good. So I'm located in Westminster, Maryland, close by Owens Mill.
Okay.
And I really need help. I need like funding for my business. I'm really on the stretch right now for my business, and my business really need help.
So what county are you in?
In Carroll.
Carroll County. Okay.
Yes.
So let me see if I have your email here. I have your email, Cindy, so I will send you some information for the Women's Business Center there in your county, and they'll be able to help you and get you in the right direction for funding.
Okay, so you guys don't help out with, how to get funding for, through the SBAs for small businesses?
We do, but we only serve the entire Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County.
Got it.
So that's why I'm going to connect you with somebody that serves your county.
All right, sure. You got my email, Cindy?
I do.
All right. Okay.
All right. So
I'll look
send you
forward
that
for the
information.
email. Yes,
All righty.
please.
Okay.
I thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? Chef Tasha, I see you're on here. You have any questions? No, I guess not. Okay. Well, you guys have a great day.
It was very informative.
Oh, there she is. Great.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was good information.
Thanks everyone for joining us today.
I have one question before you go. So let's say I'm in another county in Carroll, but I would like to open like a small, business in, let's say, Owens Mill. I'm in the event industry, so I'm looking for like a little space to make an event venue in Owens Mill. Would that consider me to get all help from SBA in where you service at?
Well, you can
If
get
that
help
makes-
from SBA by going to SBA.gov if you're interested in SBA funding specifically. And they have a lot of resources on that website. But as far as the Women's Business Center can also, lead you to other funding, sources in your area, but they can also help you with the business plan, help you with the cash flow projections, things that you need to be prepared for the funding.
All right, okay.
Yeah, but go to SBA.gov as well and check out their resources.
Awesome, thank you. All
You're welcome. But I'll definitely send you that email.
right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. And bye, Rosalind.
Bye.